when big news is going on in the world of college football, and we are getting ready for the National Signing Days. Joining us, National Football Recruiting Analyst for ESPN, Gerry Hamilton. Gerry, we know the big names like the Jadeveon Clowneys, the Leonard Fournettes. Who are some of the names that we should be keeping an eye on when they start signing up with these colleges?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our top uncommitted prospect is Marvin Wilson out of Houston, Texas, defensive tackle, stand out in the Under Armour All-America game. He is going to be announcing live on ESPN2 during our 11 hours of coverage on National Signing Day next Wednesday. Florida State, LSU, the top two. Ohio State's also in the mix, so that he's in play in the ACC country there with the Seminoles. You know, a lot of kids, it's interesting change in recruiting in recent years has been more kids are early enrolling than ever before. So if you look at our five-star prospects, we had 15 of them in the 2017 class, at least 9, maybe 10 were early enrollees, so they're already at college. So there's no signing day for those kids. They all, they've signed their scholarship grant aid papers. They've begun classes. They'll have their mock signing. But that's been the big change when 2/3 of your five-star prospects are already enrolled and ready to go for spring semester.
I want to make sure I heard this right. Did you say 11 hours of wall-to-wall coverage for signing? What time are you guys starting with this?
Yeah, we go 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., okay? And here's the great thing about our signing day show, and I'm going to give the guy credit. We work together, but Tom Luganbill will not take a pee break for 11 hours.
Wow. Please tell me he's not wearing a diaper, right? I mean, that's not...
I've never asked him that. He may be joking around with us, but no. He 2 years ago, he didn't take a pee break for 11 hours, and we were like, wow, that's kind of impressive. I got to be honest. But, yeah, we have 11 hours of coverage. We started off at 8 a.m. I think we have 11 kids that are announcing throughout the course of the day, their commitments are on ESPNU or ESPN2. So it's a big day for college football. It is the marquee day, and it's the same big names at the top of the class rankings as normal. It looks like Alabama's going to probably finish number one unless something unforeseen happens because they got 2 or 3 other big targets remaining. Florida State out of the ACC's got a chance to finish a top 3 class 5th year in a row.
I thought it was impressive for Scott Hansen on the NFL Red Zone to go 6 hours. 11 hours by Luganbill. Good for him, man.
Yeah, you need to get him on just to interview him about that. Don't even ask about that player.
Little known fact, Luganbill means strong bladder.
Nice. Well played.
Hey, Gerry, there's more and more younger quarterbacks having an impact on college football. We've seen Johnny Manziel years ago win the Heisman Trophy as a redshirted freshman. Jameis Winston did the same thing. Lamar Jackson this year wins it as a true sophomore. Who are some of these younger quarterbacks in this year's class that can have an impact in 1 to 2 years for their respective programs?
Great question, because that is what drives college football right now is the quarterback position. And one of those, we're talking about the early enrollees, that's been a big part for a change in recent years for quarterbacks. You see more quarterbacks graduating from high school in December, getting in spring for spring practice, and that almost serves as their redshirt year because they get 20-plus practices, and they get all that time learning the playbook, playing under duress at the speed of the game at the college level, and whether it's in practice or a spring game. So that's really, I think, helped true freshman quarterbacks hit the field running a little bit more, and they get a few more months in the strength and conditioning program. So one guy to watch, because I think it's very interesting, again in the ACC here, is Clemson. They're losing arguably the best quarterback that's ever played there, especially in college football, let's say, in Deshaun Watson. That's a big change for them. Yeah, Mike Williams, Artavis Scott, Wayne Gallman, they're all gone to the NFL. Clemson's got a lot of talent. Both sides of the ball. They're going to be younger at the skill positions next year, but they also have some returning players like Deion Kane and Ray McLeod that are going to be really, really good players and already are. So who's next in line at quarterback for Clemson is going to be big. Hunter Johnson is our number 1 pocket passer in the country in this class. He's already enrolled. He's at Clemson. He's set to battle this spring with Zarek Cooper, who redshirted, and they have a couple other guys there. But I think the belief is Hunter Johnson or Zarek Cooper is the favorite to come out of there with the job. So the question is, can Hunter Johnson go and essentially win that job this spring or put him in position to win it in August headed into the season? And that's big for Clemson because they're going to go from a guy who had a lot of experience to quarterbacks without any experience on Saturdays next year.
Helping us get ready for National Signing Day, Gerry Hamilton with us right here on 104.5 The Team. So, Gerry, I love watching the soap opera that is Jim Harbaugh and all his recruiting tactics. Do you like them, or do you think they're too over the top?
I think I like it because, not going to Rome, I don't know. I think he's different. And you know what? Different in recruiting is good. Different works. He's always in the headlines. That's good in recruiting. I mean, I don't, look, it can be bad, but it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's good in recruiting. Michigan is a national program. He is a national name. He is always, it doesn't matter where you go for recruiting news. There's something about Jim Harbaugh in there all the time. And, whether he's riding go-karts on an in-home visit with Aubrey Solomon's family, I mean, it's always something. It keeps him in the news. It keeps him relevant. It keeps Michigan relevant in recruiting. And in our, not 24-hour, 24-second social media world we live in now, that stuff matters. That stuff, a video of Jim Harbaugh riding go-karts with a recruit goes out on social media, and every kid sees it. I mean, that's a positive in recruiting. You have to win on the field. That's still number one. But that is... I call it hype in recruiting, and I don't mean that's what Michigan's going before, but a lot of recruiting is hype in how it's presented nowadays through social media and the use of social media. And I think Jim Harbaugh does that without trying. That's a pretty good quality as a recruiter.
Gerry, is it working? Like, does he finally have the talent around him this year to break into the playoffs?
They lost so many players on defense. That's kind of the question, right? I think they lose 9 or 10 starters on defense. Yeah. They have really good players. They had really good class last year where they had signed the number one player in the country, Gerry. He had an impact for the Wolverines this year. Their class coming in now, Donovan Peoples-Jones, one of the top 5 receivers in the country, he's already enrolled at Michigan. He's a guy you expect to make an instant impact and bring a 6'2", 200-pound guy that runs 4.4, gives them a vertical threat. They have some guys coming in that are going to make some instant impacts to go with what they already have on campus, and they have good talent on campus. The question for Michigan next year is, can they overcome that many defensive losses and guys that were really good players and guys like Jabril Peppers who are absolutely difference makers not only on defense but in the return game. So that's really the question. I think offensively they're going to score enough points. I think they're going to get better every year on offense under Jim Harbaugh. The question is defensively, can they play close to the level they did this year?
Every year it seems like there's another college football program who traditionally is not there in the top 20 to top 25, but they have a great recruiting class and it helps that program for years to come. They're Ole Miss in the past, Tennessee as well. I'm looking at the rankings. Is that Maryland I see in the top 20? How did the Terrapins get this big of a recruiting class?
One, it's big in numbers, right? 28 kids committed right now. They have they've done a good job. It's always a battle. There's 2 states that I always look at, or 3 programs. Virginia and Virginia Tech, keeping those kids in state is much tougher now than it was 12 years ago before YouTube and Huddle, when you could kind of hide players in Virginia. And since those programs have been down a little bit, it's so much easier for the Ohio States of the world, Florida State, and those pro Michigan to come into those states and get players. And that's the same thing in Maryland, in the Baltimore, D.C. area. You have to the fight to get over the hump on the field and win enough games to really keep those kids. Josh Kando, our 5-star defensive end, he was committed a long time to Maryland. He's from Baltimore. He backed out of that. He signed with FSU, and he's already enrolled. So Maryland's got a good class. They have 28 kids committed. They have 4 ESPN 300 prospects, one of them a quarterback, which for Maryland fans, that's really big right now. But it's still, even though they have that class and they are making progress, it's still such a battle to keep those top 2 or 3 guys at home, because the wins on the field almost have to come before that happens. But Maryland has a really good class of football players. They are headed in the right direction. And, when you look at their class, they've got 4-star prospects at quarterback, on the offensive line, defensive tackle, wide receiver, safety, and corner. So it's not like they're just overloading on 1 or 2 positions. They have good depth across the board, and they're filling needs in the class, which for Maryland fans, if I tell a Maryland fan, you're getting a good quarterback prospect and you're filling needs on both sides of the ball, that's all you need to be happy right now. Then you just got to start winning on the field.
Gerry Hamilton with us right now. So, Gerry, before we let you go and get you in the home stretch of preparing for 11 hours of coverage for National Signing Day, what team so far have you seen, based on their class, has the best chance of breaking into the playoffs?
You know, that's an interesting question. If you look at what class now is out there right now that could go with a class of the last couple of years, Georgia comes to mind for me. Now, it could be a reach, but again, when there's a new coaching staff that comes in, they get that recruiting bump. They kind of get that. They sell the vision, and they can sell that vision in recruiting before the wins on the field have to follow. Georgia has a tremendous class, a top 5 class. They have some real difference makers in the class. They have 4 or 5-star prospects committed. They have a chance, if these kids pan out, with a young quarterback in Jacob Eason who can really throw the football in a really good freshman class, maybe not this year, but maybe look down the road at year 3 under Kirby Smart. These guys have a chance. If they all pan out, they do what they're supposed to do, and they kind of start to maximize that ability, they have a chance to make a big jump because the SEC East maybe isn't as strong as it once was. So Georgia could be positioned to make a run there and have a legitimate chance to win the SEC in a couple of years. So that's the program I'm watching, because Georgia historically, I've been doing this 15 years, and some of those years their classes may not have panned out like we thought, so maybe we had their classes overrated. If their last 2 classes live up to the expectations, they have a chance to make a big move in the next couple of years.
I love it, man. Gerry Hamilton with us, getting us ready. National Signing Day. It feels like we'll be watching college football again in no time, thanks to you.
Oh, well, man, you can't come soon enough. Our Saturday's not just such a blast to watch the game of college football. I mean, it's just the pageantry, the passion the kids play with, the passion in the stands. I mean, hey, look, spring football, there'll be 85,000 in some stadiums or 75,000 in some stadiums, so that's really around the corner. We're just talking about a month and a half.
All right, Gerry, man, we appreciate you, and yeah, we're fired up. Like Gaza's been crazy over it.
I loved it. Just 1 week away. Can't wait for it. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.